Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you have your coffee or your tea, or honestly, maybe just a glass of water and a comfortable chair, because we are about to go somewhere. Well, we're going somewhere pretty far out today.
That might be an understatement.
I think it is. I spent half of last night just staring at the ceiling, trying to process the stack of notes we have in front of us. And I don't say this lightly, but this deep dive might actually change the way you look at reality. Like, literally the physical reality around you.
It is certainly a heavy stack, but it's the kind of heavy that anchors you, Rather than weighing you down, it grounds you in something much, much bigger.
That is a great way to put it. So for everyone tuning in, let's set the stage. We are diving into a specific set of source materials today. We're looking at part C of a series titled Waves of Quantum in the Joy of Spirituality.
Right?
Now, I know the first question popping into your head because it popped into mine, part C. Did I miss A and B? Am I going to be lost?
And the short answer is absolutely not. It doesn't matter in the slightest.
Right. The notes make it super clear that while this is technically a continuation, the insights here are a standalone structure. They're like walking into a cathedral. You don't need to have seen the blueprints to appreciate the architecture you're standing in.
Hmm.
This material acts as a bridge between two worlds that, quite frankly, usually refuse to sit at the same table. Modern quantum physics and ancient Vedanta spirituality.
And it's a fascinating intersection, but it's usually a very tense one.
Tense is a good word for it.
Yeah, typically you have science on one side, which deals with the measurable, the material, the data, the how of the universe.
The hard facts.
The hard facts. And then on the other side, you have spirituality, dealing with meaning, the internal experience, consciousness, the why. What this deep dive attempts to do, based on these specific notes, is to demonstrate that they aren't actually looking at different things. They're looking at the exact same reality, but they're describing it with different vocabularies. But, and this is a massive but, we need to take one thing crystal clear right off the bat. The source material has a big, bold disclaimer at the very top, and we need to honor that.
Correct. This is crucial. The mission of this deep dive is not to say, oh, look, the ancient sages knew everything 5,000 years ago and physics is just catching up.
No.
And we are certainly not here to say physics proves spirituality is real or, the other way around, physics proves spirituality is nonsense.
We aren't picking teams. It's not a competition.
Exactly. It is not a competition. The goal here isn't to demean physics or to elevate spirituality. It's about utility. It's about how ancient knowledge can act as a key, a visualization tool, really, to unlock or, well, to visualize these incredibly complex modern theories.
It's like a cheat sheet.
Sort of. And in return, how physics can ground these lofty spiritual concepts that often feel a bit abstract.
It's like using a poetic map to understand a satellite image. The satellite image gives you the raw data, but the map tells you where the roads go. They help each other.
I like that analogy. And the best part, we aren't just staying in the clouds with theory today. The ultimate goal of this deep dive is to move from theory to what the source calls Kriya, which means action.
That is the pivot point. Information is useless unless it transforms into transformation.
Exactly. We want to understand how things like the vacuum of space or the way subatomic particles behave actually apply to your daily life. How does this change your stress levels? How does this help you get that project done? How does it change how you relate to your family?
It sounds like a stretch, connecting quantum mechanics to your to-do list.
It sounds like a huge stretch.
But as we unpack this, you'll see the connection is surprisingly direct.
So here is the teaser to keep you hooked. By the end of this hour, we're going to explain why empty space isn't actually empty, why time is a stubborn illusion, and why you listening right now with your headphones on, are not just a viewer of the universe, but the universe itself.
And we mean that literally. That is not a metaphor.
Literally. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with segment 1, the holographic self and the incident void. This is where my brain started hurting in the best way possible.
A good hurt.
A very good hurt. The source starts with the holographic universe theory. Now, most of us know what a hologram is, like the security sticker on a credit card or, Tupac at Coachella.
Right, the pop culture version.
But scientifically, what is it? What makes it different?
It's a fundamental difference in how information is stored and displayed. To really get it, we have to contrast it with something we all know. A photograph. Just think of a normal photograph of a face. A printed photo.
Okay, I'm picturing one on my desk.
If you take a pair of scissors and cut that photo in half, what do you have?
I have half a face. I've got a left side and a right side completely separate.
Right. And if you cut out just the eye, You're holding a piece of paper that only contains the information for the eye, nothing else. In classical photography or, classical reality, the part is separate from the whole. Information is localized. The data for the nose is only where the nose is.
Makes sense. That's how we experience the world usually.
Yeah.
My coffee cup is here, it's not over there, the information is local.
But a hologram is completely different. It's a different beast entirely. A hologram isn't made with a lens focusing light. It's made using interference patterns of laser light. It captures how light waves interact with each other.
So it's recording the waves, not the points of light.
Exactly. And the fascinating, almost magical property of a true optical hologram is this. If you take that holographic film and you smash it into pieces, and you pick up one tiny jagged shard from the corner,
Just a little piece.
a tiny little piece, and then you shine a laser through that tiny shard, you don't just see a corner of the image.
What do you see?
You see the entire image. You see the whole face.
Wait, hold on. The whole picture is in that tiny piece.
Yes. The entire thing. Now, the resolution might be a little lower. It might be a bit fuzzier or dimmer, but the entire data set of the whole image is distributed and contained within every single fragment of the film.
So the part contains the whole.
The part contains the whole. That's the key.
That is the concept that just blows my mind. In a hologram, there is no here or there for information. It's everywhere at once.
It's distributed, non-local. Now, the source draws a direct, unbroken line from this 20th century physics discovery to the ancient Upanishads.
Okay.
Specifically, there is a mantra that perfectly, and I mean perfectly, encapsulates this. It is Anuranian Mahato Mahian.
Anuranian Mahato Mahian. It sounds beautiful, but what does it actually mean?
It translates roughly to smaller than an atom, greater than the greatest.
It sounds like a riddle, like a paradox. How can something be smaller than an atom and bigger than the universe at the same time?
It sounds like a riddle if you think in terms of photographs of classical objects. But if you think in terms of holograms, it's a technical description.
It's not a poem, it's a manual.
In a way, yes. The ancient Vedantic texts were trying to articulate this exact holographic principle regarding the nature of the self or the soul, the Atman.
So when they say self, they aren't talking about my ego, right? They aren't talking about host speaker, the guy who likes pizza.
No, definitely not the personality, not the history or the memories or the preferences. They mean the fundamental consciousness that observes the personality, the witness.
The thing that's doing the looking.
Yes. And the source argues that Vedanta has always claimed that you are not a fragment of the universe. We are raised to think we are these tiny, insignificant cogs in a big machine.
Right. I'm just a little ant on a rock spinning around a star. I'm insignificant. That's the default feeling.
Because in a machine, a gear is just a gear. It doesn't contain the blueprint for the whole engine. If you take a gear out of a clock, the gear doesn't know what time it is.
It has no context.
It has no context. But in a holographic universe, the full data of the cosmos is contained within every single atom of your existence. Every cell.
So the takeaway here is, I'm not just a part of the universe.
You are the universe.
I am the entire universe.
You are the entire universe experiencing itself through a specific focal point called a body. It shifts your identity from being a tiny, isolated speck in a vast, cold void.
Which can be a pretty lonely feeling.
Terribly lonely. It shifts you to being the container of the whole. You carry the entire cosmos within you.
That drastically changes how you feel when you look up at the night sky. You aren't looking at something other. You're looking at your own reflection, in a way.
Precisely. It moves you from a state of isolation to a state of total connection.
But speaking of that vast cold void and feeling small, let's talk about nothingness. Because the source brings up this concept of the 0-point field, and I think this is where people get tripped up. We're terrified of nothing.
We are. It's a deep-seated fear. And this is one of the most exciting areas where physics has completely flipped the script on our intuition.
How so?
For a long time, classical physics assumed that a vacuum was empty. Simple as that. If you took a box, pumped out all the air, shielded it from radiation, cooled it to absolute zero, just removed everything, you would have nothing. A dead, empty void.
Zero. The absence of stuff.
But quantum physics, specifically quantum field theory, tells us that a vacuum is never truly empty. It is teeming with fluctuations. Virtual particles are popping in and out of existence constantly.
Popping in and out.
From where?
From the field itself. It's boiling with potential energy. We call this the zero-point field.
So even when you take everything away, there's still something there.
Not just something, an immense amount of something.
Yeah.
The calculations vary, but the energy density of the vacuum is theoretically infinite.
Infinite.
Well, effectively infinite. There is a famous analogy that the amount of energy contained in the empty space inside a generic coffee cup is enough to boil all the oceans on Earth.
That's terrifying and amazing. So empty is actually full. Exactly. Zero is actually infinite. The void isn't a lack of stuff. It's the potential for all stuff. It's the womb of creation.
And this is where the spiritual parallel kicks in, right? The Source talks about the concept of shunya, or the void, in meditation.
Yes. Think about figures like Buddha or Shiva. They are often associated with this state of shunya, zero, nothingness, the void.
Which to a modern person sounds bad. It sounds like depression.
Right. In a modern, busy Western context, when we hear emptying the mind, we panic. We think it means becoming a zombie, a dead dial tone. We think, if I stop thinking, I cease to exist.
Right, like you're turning the power off. We are addicted to the noise because the noise makes us feel alive and in control.
But the Source argues the exact opposite. Just like the physical vacuum is full of infinite energy, the mental state of shunya, emptying the mind of individual, cluttering thoughts, is how you connect to that zero-point field of consciousness.
I see. So thoughts are like interference, static on the line.
Thoughts are like ripples on the surface of the water. If the water is choppy, you can't see the bottom and you can't see the reflection of the sky. It's all distorted.
Okay.
If you want to experience the depth of the ocean, the infinite potential, you have to quiet the ripples. Being zero allows you to connect to the field.
So emptiness isn't a lack of something. Emptiness is wholeness. That's a really cool way to reframe meditation. It's not about shutting down, it's about plugging into the main power source.
Precisely. You are removing the static so you can access the signal of the infinite. When you become nothing, you gain access to everything.
Which brings us to another form of static that messes with our heads constantly. Time.
Time.
The source material gets really trippy here. It quotes Einstein saying, "The distinction between past, present, and future is merely a stubborn illusion."
A very famous quote, and honestly a very annoying one for us regular humans living our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like an illusion at all. I experience time linearly. I drop a cup, it breaks. Cause, then effect. Past, then future. I can't remember tomorrow. I can't undo yesterday. It feels very, very real.
Correct. That is our biological experience. We are wired to perceive entropy, the arrow of time. But in relativity and in what's called the block universe view of physics, time is not a flowing river. It is more like a landscape that already exists.
A landscape.
Think of space and time as a giant loaf of bread, a four-dimensional loaf.
Okay, I'm hungry, so I'm liking this analogy. A loaf of bread.
Every slice of that bread exists simultaneously. The heel at the beginning, all the middle slices, the heel at the end, they are all just sitting there on the counter.
The whole loaf exists at once.
And the whole loaf exists. We as observers are just moving our consciousness through the loaf slice by slice, experiencing it as a sequence. Oh, now it's Tuesday, now it's Wednesday, but the loaf itself is static.
Wow. Okay. The source compares this to Vedanta's concept of Trikal, the 3 times. And it uses an analogy that I found really helpful to visualize this.
The mountain analogy.
The mountain analogy. Let's walk through that because it made it click for me.
It is a classic for a reason. Imagine you are driving a car on a winding road through a deep valley. The canyon walls are high.
So my vision is restricted.
Very restricted. All you can see is the bend just ahead of you and what's in the rearview mirror just behind you. That's your world.
Okay, I'm driving. I'm focused on the road.
You experienced a road as a sequence. First I passed the pine tree, then I passed the giant rock, then I crossed the bridge. You can't see the rock until you pass the tree. And once you pass the tree, it's gone. It's in the past.
Linear time. Cause and effect, A to B to C.
Exactly. But now, zoom out. Imagine an eye hiker standing at the very peak of the mountain above you. They look down into the valley, they see the whole winding road, they see the pine tree, the giant rock, and the bridge all at once.
They see the whole layout, the whole map.
They see where you came from, your past, and where you were going, your future, simultaneously. For the hiker, there is no sequence in the same way. It's just the road.
So for the hiker, past, present, future are just geography. They're just different locations on the road.
Correct. The source suggests that what we call higher consciousness, or the state of a Trikaldarshi, which means a seer of the 3 times in the Vedantic tradition, is like that hiker. They have stepped out of the valley of linear time. They have climbed the mountain of consciousness.
So they can see birth and death not as a start and finish line, but as 2 points existing simultaneously on the map of existence.
Exactly. 2 points on the road, visible at the same time from that higher vantage point.
That is comforting, actually. It makes the stress of running out of time feel a bit silly if the whole road is already there.
It shifts the focus from becoming something in the future to being what you are right now. The road is already built. You're just driving it. You can enjoy the scenery.
But it also breaks your brain a little. If the future is already there, do I have free will? Or are we just pressing play on a movie that's already filmed?
That is the eternal question, isn't it? The paradox of free will and destiny. But the source suggests that while the landscape exists, how you navigate it, your trajectory, and which road you take at the fork might be where the agency lies.
So there are forks in the road.
There may be. And we'll get to that when we talk about the observer effect in choosing your reality.
Okay, pin in that. Let's connect this to connection itself. We talk about the hologram, the void, and time. Now we have to talk about quantum entanglement. This is the spooky action at a distance Einstein talked about, right?
Yes. This is one of the most verified experimental facts in physics, and it drove Einstein absolutely crazy.
Why did it drive him crazy? I thought he liked weird physics.
He liked weird physics that followed local rules. This violates the rule of locality. Nothing should travel faster than light.
Okay, so what's the simple version of entanglement?
In simple terms, if two particles are created together or interact in a certain way, they become entangled. They share a single mathematical state. They are linked.
Like twins.
In a way, yes. Now you can separate them by 1 billion light years. Put one on Earth and one in a galaxy on the edge of the universe.
Okay, huge distance, no way to communicate. The light would take 1 billion years to get there.
Right, but if you measure the spin of the particle on Earth and find it is up, the one in the distant galaxy will instantaneously snap to down.
Instantly. Not in 1 billion years.
Faster than the speed of light, as if they knew what the other one was doing. It's not a signal being sent, it's a shared state being revealed.
They act like they are still touching, even though they are arguably as far apart as possible.
Because on a fundamental level, they are still connected.
Yeah.
Space is not a barrier to their connection. They are part of one system.
Now here is where the source gets really beautiful. It takes this cold, weird physics concept and translates it into a warm human emotion. It says that what we call compassion or love isn't just a chemical reaction in the brain. It's not just oxytocin. It's the physical experience of entanglement.
It is a profound reframing. We usually think of empathy as a psychological skill. I am imagining what it feels like to be you. I'm simulating your sadness in my brain.
Right. I feel for you. That's usually a figure of speech. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes.
But the source suggests it is deeper than that. It's more literal. If we all came from the same singularity, the same Big Bang, then all the matter in our bodies, every electron in your brain and my brain, was once crushed together in a single point.
So we're all made of the same stuff.
We're all quantumly entangled matter. We are all fundamentally connected.
So when I see someone suffering and I feel a physical pang in my chest, a real ache, that's not just me being nice. That's a data transfer.
It is a resonance. The source calls it a physical truth. You feel their pain because, on the level of the source code of the universe, there is no separation between you and them. You are accessing that entangled state.
So love is just the evidence of our shared origin.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's the felt sense of that non-local connection.
It reminds me of that saying, we are all star stuff. But this takes it a step further. We are all connected star stuff.
And that leads to the visual exercise the source suggests. I think this is a great takeaway for the listeners to actually try tonight. A little piece of homework.
Oh, I loved this. It's so simple, but it changes everything. It says, next time you look at the stars, flip the script.
Right.
Usually you stand there and think, I am a tiny person looking up at a giant universe.
Which reinforces separation. Subject looking at object. Me versus it. The lonely speck again.
Right. Instead, the source wants you to think, the universe is seeing itself through me.
It is a shift from active to receptive. Your eyes are not just your eyes. They are the cameras of infinite consciousness.
Yeah.
The universe evolved for billions of years, formed stars, cooked carbon in those stars, created biology on this planet just to develop eyes. Your eyes so it could look back at itself and marvel at its own beauty.
That gives me chills.
Yeah.
It's such a simple mental switch, but it changes everything. It makes you feel incredibly valuable. Like, I have a job. My job is to witness this.
Your existence has a cosmic purpose in that view. You are the universe's organ of perception.
It synthesizes the segment perfectly. Physics looks outward at the stars. Spirituality, Jian, or tap, meditation or discipline looks inward.
But they meet at this point of non-duality, Advaita. The observer and the observed are one.
Okay, so we've established the theory. A big, mind-bending theory. We are holographic, connected, timeless beings. But the source promised us Kriya, action. How do we use this? I can't pay my rent with non-duality. I can't finish my presentation with entanglement. It feels very abstract.
Well, maybe you can, or at least the principles underlying them can help. This brings us to segment 3, from theory to action, the observer effect. This is where we leave the armchair philosophy and get into the mechanics of creation.
Let's do it. Where do we start?
We have to talk about the wave function. This is the heart of quantum mechanics. It's weird, but it's essential.
Okay, lay it on us.
In the quantum world, before a particle like an electron is measured or observed, it doesn't exist in a single specific place. It's not like a marble sitting on a table.
What is it then? A ghost?
Close. It exists as a cloud of probabilities, a wave of potential. It could be here, it could be there, it could be moving fast, it could be moving slow. It is all of those things at once. This is the wave function, a hazy cloud of maybe.
So reality is fuzzy until we look at it. That's what that means.
Exactly. This is the famous Schrödinger's cat paradox in a nutshell. The cat is both dead and alive until you open the box and look. As soon as an observer interacts with the system, measures it, looks at it, that cloud snaps shut. It collapses into a single definite point, a particle. We call this the collapse of the wave function.
So the act of observation forces the universe to make up its mind. It has to pick one.
Precisely. It turns possibility into reality, potentiality into actuality.
And the source connects this directly to Sankalpa Shakti, or willpower.
Yes. The source argues that your sankalpa, which isn't just a wish, it's a deep, resolved intention, acts as the observer in the laboratory of your life.
So if we map this onto our lives, my future isn't a fixed railroad track.
No. Based on this theory, your future is a cloud of infinite probabilities. You could succeed, you could fail, you could get the job, you could stay where you are, you could go left, you could go right. It is all existing in a quantum haze of potential.
Okay.
But when you apply Sankalpa, when you focus with absolute conviction on a single goal, you are essentially collapsing that wave function. You are the observer.
So you're choosing one probability from that infinite cloud and forcing it to materialize.
You are manipulating quantum probabilities through focused consciousness. You are not just hoping for a result.
Yeah.
You are crystallizing it from the realm of potential into the realm of matter.
That makes willpower sound like a superpower. It sounds like magic. I think it, therefore it happens.
It sounds like magic, but the source argues it's mechanics. It's the mechanics of consciousness interacting with the quantum field. It's physics.
But here's the thing. We have to be real here. We all know people, myself included, who intend to do things. I intend to go to the gym every day. I intend to become a millionaire. I intend to write a book. But nothing happens. The wave function stays fuzzy. I don't get the book deal. My bank account doesn't change. Why doesn't it always work?
That is the million-dollar question. And the source has a very specific answer for it. It argues that we can't just look once. We can't just have a fleeting thought.
It's not enough to just want it.
Not at all. We have to keep looking. This brings us to segment 4. Stabilizing reality, the quantum Zeno effect.
I hadn't heard of the Zeno effect before reading these notes. It sounds like a sci-fi villain. Beware the Zeno effect.
It's named after the Greek philosopher Zeno and his paradoxes of motion. In quantum physics, the effect is this. If you observe an unstable radioactive system continuously,
What do you mean by continuously?
like if you check on it thousands of times a second, if you never take your eyes off it, it never decays. It freezes in its current state.
So watching it stops it from changing. The observation locks it in place.
It stops the evolution of the wave function. It is often summarized by the saying, a watched pot never boils. But in quantum mechanics, it's literally true. A watched system never changes state. It stabilizes it.
Okay, that's a bizarre physics fact. How does the source apply this to spirituality and, getting things done?
It connects it directly to the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. There is a specific verse about practice that defines how to make a thought into a reality. It says, Satu dirga kala narantarya satkara sivito drudabhumi.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Break it down for us.
It defines the 3 conditions for success. Dirgakala means for a long time. Narantarya means without interruption. And satkara means with full faith or reverence.
So, long time, no interruption, and with total belief.
Exactly. Let's look at the without interruption part, Narantarya. That correlates directly to the quantum Zeno effect.
How so?
If your mind is flickering, I want this, no, I want that, maybe I can't do it, what if I fail, oh, look, a squirrel, the wave function keeps resetting. It never stabilizes.
You're creating a fuzzy reality because your observation is fuzzy. You're observing success, then failure, then doubt, then hunger. It's all over the place.
Correct. But tap, which translates to penance or discipline, is the spiritual practice of holding that mental focus. By repeatedly, continuously, without interruption, fixing your attention on the sankalpa, you create a quantum Zeno effect in your own consciousness.
You freeze the thought wave. You force it to solidify into a particle, into a reality.
That's the idea. So discipline isn't just about being good or following rules for some moral reason.
It's physics. It's the mechanics of holding an image in the mind long enough for it to print on reality.
Exactly. Sporadic effort creates sporadic results because the wave never fully collapses and stabilizes into the form you want. Consistency is the physics of manifestation.
But there's another layer to this, right? It's not just about the brain, the thinking mind. You can't just think your way there if your gut is screaming, this is impossible.
Correct. 100% correct. You can sit there and repeat, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. But if your stomach is tied in knots of anxiety about upcoming bills, it won't work. The system is incoherent.
Why not? If I'm thinking it, isn't that the observation? Isn't that the focus?
It's part of it, but it's not the most powerful part. This brings us to segment 5, the broadcast station. We have to talk about heart and brain coherence.
The source throws out a massive, almost unbelievable number here. It cites the HeartMath Institute.
Yes, the research is fascinating. It suggests that the heart's magnetic field is up to 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's magnetic field.
5,000 times. That's insane. I always thought the brain was the CEO. The brain is the boss. It runs the show.
The brain is the electrical processor, it's the CPU, but the heart is the magnetic broadcaster. The brain produces a lot of electrical activity, which is easily measured. But the heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. It radiates out from you.
And this explains the problem of doubt.
It explains it perfectly. Let's break that down. Imagine your brain thinks, I want a new job. That's the electric signal. It creates a thought form, a clear little blueprint.
Okay, that's the intention.
But your heart feels fear. I'm not good enough. The economy is bad. I'll get rejected. That's the magnetic signal, the emotional broadcast.
And since the magnet's 5,000 times stronger,
the fear wins. Or, at best, you send out a chaotic, incoherent signal into the quantum field. It's like trying to tune a radio but jamming the signal at the same time.
So the field is getting a fuzzy, contradictory message. You're saying yes with your head and no with your heart.
Precisely. And the universe responds to the loudest signal. The reality won't change because the overall broadcast is weak and confused. In wave physics, we call it destructive interference. The waves literally cancel each other out.
So what is the solution? How do we fix the signal? How do we get the heart on board?
The source talks about coherence. This is the state where the thoughts of the mind and the emotions of the heart align. They start beating to the same drum.
So when you think, I will achieve this, you also have to feel the gratitude and excitement and relief of already having it.
That's the sweet spot. When those two waves, thought and emotion, lock into phase, the human body becomes a massive, coherent broadcasting station, a clear, powerful signal that interacts with the quantum field much more effectively.
So when the source talks about tap or discipline purifying the mind, it's really about removing that interference, removing the doubt so the signal from the heart can become clean.
Yes. A purified mind removes the static of fear and doubt. It makes the sankalpa infallible because there is no contradictory frequency being broadcast from the heart. The whole system is aligned.
This is fascinating because it explains why fake it till you make it works sometimes, but only if you actually get yourself to believe it emotionally, not just say the words.
Correct. Affirmations without emotion are just empty words. They have no magnetic charge. You have to feel the future to create it.
This brings us to the final and maybe the most mysterious part of the notes. Segment 6, non-local influence and being a co-creator.
We're circling back to entanglement here. If we are all connected, and if you become a powerful, coherent broadcasting station, what happens to the people and things around you?
The source says you don't just affect yourself, you affect the entire environment.
Exactly. It's not contained to your own body. It mentions the example of a realized yogi or an ascetic.
Yeah.
In stories, you hear about sages who sit in a forest and violent animals become calm when they walk near them.
Or they stop feuding tribes just by showing up.
Right. Or on a more relatable level, people with busy, angry minds sit near a guru or a deeply peaceful person and suddenly feel calm without a single word being spoken.
I've definitely felt that. You walk into your room with certain people and you just feel
Yeah.
better, calmer.
Uh-huh.
And then the opposite is true too.
Of course.
Some people walk in and the vibe just drops. You feel drained or agitated.
That is non-local influence. It is their willpower field or their coherence field interacting with your quantum state. Because of entanglement, a strong, coherent vibration can entrain a weaker, chaotic one.
Entrain. That's a key word, like how pendulum clocks in the same room eventually start to swing together.
Exactly. It's a principle of physics called entrainment or mode locking. If you have a powerful, stable frequency, the guru's peaceful state, and a chaotic, unstable frequency, the disciple's worried mind, the laws of physics suggest they will synchronize. The stable one usually pulls the unstable one into rhythm.
So by fixing yourself, by creating coherence in your own system, you are actually fixing the world around you. Not philosophically, but electromagnetically.
You are stabilizing the local field. You become a walking zone of coherence. You don't have to say a word. Your presence is the signal that helps others find their own coherence.
Which leads us to the grand conclusion. The source asks the ultimate question. Who are you? And after all this physics and spirituality, the answer isn't, I'm Bob from accounting, or I'm a mother of two.
No. The paradigm shift is complete. You are not a passive viewer of the world. You are not watching a movie that is already filmed.
You are a co-creator.
Yes. Physics itself suggests the universe requires an observer to exist. Without the observer, it is just disembodied waves of probability. Therefore, you, the observer, are the condition for the universe's existence in a solid form.
Wow. Okay. The source interprets the ancient mantra, Aham Brahmasmi, which is usually translated as I am Brahman or I am the cosmos, through this very scientific lens.
It interprets it not as an arrogant statement, but a functional one. I am the cosmos means you are the power that uses will and consciousness to create vibrations in the void, turning it into the world. You are the mechanism by which the nothing becomes something.
That is heavy. It really does validate the idea that ancient spirituality wasn't just grandparent stories or primitive superstitions.
It wasn't folklore. It was a methodology, a technology of consciousness. It was a way to understand and interact with the very fabric of reality that science is now mapping with mathematics and particle accelerators.
They just use the language of consciousness instead of the language of calculus.
Precisely. Two different languages describing the same thing.
So let's recap this journey, because we've covered a massive amount of ground. My brain is buzzing.
We started with the holographic universe, the idea that you contain the whole cosmos within you, the part is the whole.
Right.
We moved to the zero-point field, the realization that emptiness is actually infinite energy, infinite potential.
And then the illusion of time seeing the whole mountain road at once, that past, present, and future are a matter of perspective.
Then we shifted from theory to action.
Right. From the what to the how.
Exactly. We looked at the observer effect, how your focused attention collapses probability into reality.
Choosing your timeline.
Yes. Then we looked at the quantum Zeno effect, how consistent, uninterrupted focus stabilizes that chosen reality.
That was the discipline piece.
And finally, coherence, how aligning the heart and brain broadcasts a powerful, clear signal that changes not just you, but the world around you.
It's a complete system, from identity to action to impact.
It really is. It bridges the gap between knowing the truth and living the truth.
And that leads me to the final thought I want to leave our listeners with. The source ends on this idea of being a co-creator. And honestly, it's empowering, but it's also a little terrifying.
It implies a profound responsibility.
Exactly. If my observation creates reality, if my broadcast influences the field around me, then what responsibility do I hold for the world I see around me right now?
That is the provocative question, isn't it? If you look out your window and see a world of anger, chaos, and fear, how much of that is the world and how much of that is the signal you are broadcasting into the cloud of probabilities?
It makes you want to check your frequency, doesn't it? To take a look at what you're putting out there.
It certainly does. We are not just victims of reality. We are composing it moment by moment with every thought and every feeling.
So here is our challenge to you, the listener. Test the observer effect this week. Don't just take our word for it. Pick one thing, One small probability you want to collapse into reality and apply that focused discipline. Align the heart and the brain.
Feel it as if it's already real.
And see what happens.
Be the scientist of your own life. Run the experiment.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a mind bender, but hopefully your reality feels a little more infinite than it did an hour ago.
Keep looking up. And keep looking in. They are the same direction.
See you next time.